And political correspondent at The Sun, Martina Bett. Great to have you with us this Saturday. We're going to kick off with The Guardian, because who remembers back in the day when Boris Johnson promised 40 new hospitals would be made, Paul? The headline for The Guardian, Tory plan to build 40 new NHS hospitals in tatters.
Yes, it's not a surprise. When Boris Johnson, with his bombastic boosterism, promised this in 2019, it did look as though it was impossible to achieve because the target was by 2030. It is so far off that. Even back in 2022, there was a look into the finances in this. And now Labour have said not only is it not going to happen, but the numbers that are staggering. The Tories budgeted until this coming March for this. So, you know, they were just putting figures in that were not able to be substantiated. Its costs have spiralled by 30 billion.
Yep.
And there's about 20 rebuilds that The Guardian says will be in limbo. So patients are going to be at risk, operations are not going to happen, and hospitals are unfit for purpose. It's not clear exactly how this is going to get resolved, because 12 of the 40, it may only be 12 of the 40, not just new builds, but rebuilt.
Yeah.
Some of the details in The Guardian story, look, this doesn't come as a great surprise, given the legacy that the Tories have left. What does come as a surprise is that Labour are not borrowing for capital projects like this. I know that there are questions over the national debt, but when you read things like last summer, the Epsom St Helier Trust in Surrey cancelled 300 eye operations because its theatre ventilation system failed. That's just one example, and you can factor that out by quite a number. It has been said in the story that it's a false economy to keep maintaining these hospitals rather than building new ones. That's going to cost even more. At some point, Labour are going to have to get to grips with this. They will blame the Tories, I think, rightly so, in this, but they can't keep doing that. They have to take the next step. They have to be in the front foot with it.
It can't be kicked down the road, can it, Martina?
No, and actually, you know, obviously it's the Tories that had to come forward with this plan, and West Streeting, I think, early in September said that it was very likely that it would be postponed and the timeline would be pushed. But, you know, lots of these hospitals were in Labour constituencies. The backlash is going to be big, I think. It doesn't matter that the Tories hadn't planned for it. It's still Labour that is going to have to respond to it. And I think it's not going to be pretty.
OK, let's go on to the Daily Telegraph front page. We've got a striking image there of Liz Truss with that Make America Great Again. But the story is Trump to rule on Starmer's Chagos deal.
Yes, and these are actually more details of a story that emerged earlier this week. So for the last few weeks, we had heard that the Labour government really wanted to push this deal with Mauritius before Donald Trump would come in. But actually, Number 10 Downing Street, at a lobby briefing with journalists earlier in the week, said that they wanted to wait for the new administration to review the details. The Prime Minister's spokesman stressed, this is not going to be a veto, but we think it's fair that Donald Trump looks at this. Now we hear that actually it wasn't Number 10 showing goodwill, but it was the Trump administration, new administration, demanding that Donald Trump looks at this. And, you know, it doesn't look good. We don't know what's going to happen, really. And we heard lots of people around Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, his new Secretary of State, cited concerns about the base and China. So basically, Donald Trump could derail the entire deal, and it's not going to look good on Keir Starmer.
Yeah, OK. More on that to come, I'm sure. Can we move on to The Guardian? This is page 17. It's all centred around the legend that is Bob Dylan, that movie that premiered in London, A Complete Unknown, this week, just gone. But Bob Dylan apparently has joined TikTok, that we've also been discussing on the show today, Paul. Just
as TikTok looks like it's heading out, Bob Dylan is heading in. And he joined TikTok this week. He tweeted, he didn't tweet, he posted it on TikTok. He's already 2 million views on one post. Then he posted a second one, which referenced the fact that things were changing, and it was a clip from a 1960s news conference that said, "Good God, I must leave right away." he joined Twitter earlier. He started posting on Twitter earlier this year, again when it looked like it was going. Dylan is, the times are changing, Bob, but Bob doesn't care. He's doing it in Bob's way.
He is amazing, hands down. I want to talk about this story in the Times now. It's all about how potentially driving licences that I seem to lose at least once a year could be going digital.
Yes, and this is a move that we're seeing across the Western world, really. There's lots of other countries that have got this, and the UK has decided that it's now time for us to have digital driving licenses, which I think is quite fair enough, given how many times we
I
lose
lose it
them.
all the time, so bad.
So do I. And, you know, there are concerns that, for instance, there is no legal requirement for anyone to carry your driving licence. So I think there have been some concerns put forward about the fact that maybe it will give police an excuse to be like, you need to show me your driving license because you will have it on your phone. But I think this is a good step, and you know, it couldn't come sooner, in my opinion.
Paul?
It is just a way to try and get to some kind of ID, because we don't have an ID system in Britain, and it does make it difficult for people who, obviously nobody wants to carry their passports, and if they don't have a licence with them, I think it feels as though it's a halfway house for ID.
OK, talk to me about haggis. And,
I'd love to talk to you about haggis.
recipe, because it's being tweaked potentially to fit in with any exports to the US. This is the Telegraph, page 3.
Everything has been made pliant by the will of the US at the minute, it seems this morning. Did you know that haggis has been banned in America since 1971?
For why?
I'll tell you why. Because it contains offal, sheep lung, offal as in with an O rather than an A. And because of this, it's banned. So a manufacturer called McSween, who produce an awful lot of haggis, tweaked the recipe, and they're trying to make it, rather than with sheep lung, with sheep heart, with lamb heart and lamb fat, which seems to get in under the wire. Do you like haggis?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so do I.
I'm all for it for breakfast.
People have lived and died without tasting haggis in America since 1971, but now it looks as though that joy will be for the next generation.
Are you a fan then?
I love haggis. I think it's great.
But do you think the tweak should happen?
Well,
don't mess with something that works.
It's good. Awful, and I mean, it's not exactly cordon bleu. If it makes it work, let it work.
We've only got 30 seconds left, but we were going to talk about drones, Martina. 20 seconds left.
Yes. Sorry, so basically Amazon has met Rachel Reeves earlier in the week. She's been meeting regulators to drive growth, and one of the options they're looking at is to use drones to basically do deliveries. And it's very interesting. Something that's been around for quite a long time, and we'll see if it works.
Yeah, we had a drone party last night in my house with my 4-year-old daughter. She's a fan. We'll have more after the break.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered.